Hey guys, and welcome to Monifactory Progression Log 8. It's been another pretty productive week here on the Minecraft server. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get started with the biggest thing of this to change, which is the skyline. I finally got around to building the command tower. I really like it, though it's not quite as good as I would have liked it. The original plan was to have a taper from this roof to about here. How there was like a specific style that I was kind of going for that I saw in someone else's like skyscraper screenshot that I really liked. However, I'm not quite good enough to do the taper from such a weird shape to a different shape. So I kind of gave up on that after like an hour and a half. Uh, in total, it's about 5 hours of work between the actual structure itself and then the taper attempt. Um, that being, I really like it. I'm really happy with it. We've also been using it, and most of it is pretty hard to access though. We have the staffs of traveling, so um, here, there we go. So we have the bottom floor, and then we have two more normal floors, and then we have the actual tower itself. And the only way to get in up here is through the travel anchor, and you actually can't get to the lower floors yet. I need to put some elevators in, but after I finished it, I didn't really feel like building anymore, and I went to go do something else. However, what we are putting in here will be like our applied logistics drives and obviously our crafting CPUs. We now have more of them. We used to have five 1296 with 256 co-processors, or 512 co-processors actually, um, CPUs. But it wasn't really, the problem we had with CPUs wasn't like their size or capability. It was just we didn't have enough of them. So we have more now. We have a lot more. And some of them are even named. This one's called Alaska. This one's called Quietus. The other ones don't have any names yet. Quietist is actually. Hold on. I have the. It's one of my favorite songs by an artist called Lane Chenzi. Here, I'm just gonna go ahead and put it into chat. Is that how you spell it? Yes. That's a good song. I like it. It's on YouTube, so it's worth listening to. So that's what this is based off of. We have Alaska because I don't know. I just thought of it and I thought it would be really funny to be name a CPU Alaska for some reason. If you guys have other funny names, feel free to give me some ideas. We have 12 more to name, so um, yeah. We also, like I said, we have more floors, so we're gonna eventually move drives over here. Like our mainnet drives will go here. As for what will go here, I'm not quite sure yet, but we do have plenty of room. Maybe we'll need more CPUs. I don't know. If we do need more, we'll have room for them. I'm sure. We can also fill out the extra tower floors too if we have to. In terms of like overlook towers, I actually just copy pasted that tower and just used it as the skyscraper that I'm using for the overlook. It's definitely extremely expensive in terms of blocks. I have the actual like material list like right here. Um, it is almost 900 white stained glass, 800 basalt, 32 red wool, 30 white wool, almost 900 red terracotta, 240 sanded blackstone, 84 shimmering glowstone, almost 900 tile blackstone, and 1700 white terracotta. So it's definitely a pretty expensive build. In terms of sheer number of blocks, though everything that goes into it we have on passive at this point. I did actually massively increase the buffers over here at the HNN line, so we do have, because like, it consumes so much at a time that I just wanted massive buffers so I can order the CPUs to craft super fast. So that's not a problem anymore. I guess now that while we're over here, you guys already saw the generator changes, so I guess we'll go over here. I have been slowly pulling off more and more new mystics over time, just because I don't really feel like I kind of want to pull. I want the PPM stuff for other uses because while it does produce power, it's not really that much anymore in comparison. It's like 1,000 EU per each one or something like that, a little more, like maybe like 1,200 or something. I don't know. It's not that much compared to what single one of these generators can put out. I also added a couple more. I did this last night. I added four more, just because we're getting pretty deep into. We're just starting LUV at this point. I was hoping to get the LUV energy hatch last night, but it didn't happen. Over here, I know I talked about how I didn't really feel like it was worth overclocking these vacuum freezers in order to get more liquid oxygen, but I didn't really feel like building a bunch more because it is basically 1 to 1. It's like 1.01 vacuum freezers, or it's like 1.01 extreme combustion engines per vacuum freezer. So it's effectively 1 to 1. You'd need like 100 of them before you even got like an extra one or something. And I didn't really feel like building another four. Didn't even really have the room unless I wanted to stack them or do 2 rows like I did over here. And we're not too far from fusion, I think. Probably a couple weeks, I imagine. I might build another. I'll probably build out like finish this line worth and this line's worth of extreme combustion engines before we get to fusion. But we won't really need that many vacuum. We don't need them vacuum freezers after that. So I didn't really see a point in building a bunch that are just kind of gonna sit around in an applied energistic system for the rest of the playthrough. Um, so I just overclocked them with just some IV energy hatches. Well, we have the power to spare now. At the time when I was setting it up, we really didn't. We didn't have that many, and I wanted to use the power for other things. But now we have a bunch. So it's not too much of a problem. So yeah, I figured overclocking was better. Over here, we also have the beginnings of a power substation. I was also hoping to get this finished last night. However, I wanted to use the substation. Uh, the LUV 64 amp substation energy hatch because you can actually feed it, even though the capacitors are only IV, you can feed them higher tiers. At least that's what I was told. However, this is very expensive. Um, and mainly it's not necessarily the expense. It's all the crafting steps because it requires an LUV assembler. This requires an LUV assembler, which requires us to make those things. And because we have a multi-block LUV assembler, it means I have to make a single block one first so I can make the energy hatch. And yeah, so that's a little bit annoying. And I was hoping to get to it last night, and then it was like 2 in the morning, and I was like stuck with another rabbit hole, and I was just like, no, I'm going to bed, and just went to bed instead. Um, so I'm hoping to finish this up fairly soon. We haven't had a battery yet, and it's been a real. I really should have set something like this up a long time ago. We have basically the only buffer we have is what is in the dynamo hatches and what is in these vibrant capacitor banks, which is 2 million EU each. So it's not really a whole lot, unfortunately. So we don't really have too much of a buffer, so we can't go over our power consumption. Like you can't have like a big enough buffer to handle short surges for like on demand, for instance. So that is a little bit annoying, I'm not gonna lie, but we'll finally get around to it. I did set up Lapotron stuff too. That's all on passive. Uh, Many of the steps are on passive, not all of them. Like if we come over here to Factory Floor 2, which has been expanded a little bit, we do have some more IV machines. I finally got around to putting, quantum stars on passive since those take fucking forever. Take a minute and a half in the HV chemical bath. So I swapped those out. We make all the way up to the engraved. I know this is not the engraved, but the engraved are made in the clean room. So we make all the way up to engraved Lapotron crystal chips because you need a lot of them. Um, I didn't really feel like setting up, a laser engraver on demand, if I was being honest. So I just set this up on passive. Um, yep. So we have that now. So I can always go ahead and order some more, capacitors if I really feel like it. I might order another 9. You know what? Let's just go ahead and order another 9. Capacitor. Just order another 9. Oh, we also have EBFs on demand. I'll go show that in a minute too. We have reared it here because I've added a bunch of EBFs. I guess we'll go. Well, first off, we'll go talk about on demand. I've upgraded more and more legacy machines over time. I have 2 mixers now. We have the cutters. Like these are actual cutters because we use plates for some things. Like for example, Fluix plates get used in things. I forget what they get used in. They get used in the accumulation processors and the P2P or with the accumulation processors to make the multi P2Ps and the P2Ps and stuff. Um, and the HV1 was kind of slow, and I got sick of it, so I went ahead and just upgraded it. I also upgraded the fluid solidifiers to IV since we do need those for like T5 minor require stabilized plutonium. So I got tired of that being slow as well. Also upgraded our mixers here. One's on no circuit, one's on circuit 4. I also upgraded our forming presses here. Both of these are set to nothing right now, so they can both make laminated glass if I want them to. Though I eventually plan to. Here we go. See, you can see they can both make laminated glass if I want them to. They can also eventually make like on-demand processors if we really need them to, though at this stage we really don't. Um, that being said, though, I might make the accumulation processors on demand because you don't really use that many of them, and they're pretty fast in the IV forming press. However, we still do have the HV chemical bath, which we don't really use for all that much stuff. Mostly lenses at this point, and the quantumized. The quantumized also need to go on passive somewhere, but I've just been running around doing a bunch of other things. And the atomic reconstructor doesn't really need to be anything higher than HV, if I'm being honest. The thing it's used the most for is actually making universal circuits, and HV is all you need to make them a one-tick recipe. So uh, I still do want to swap it out eventually, just because I want this line to be IV, so I can put different machines here, more IV machines. But it's kind of okay for now, I guess. It'll get upgraded eventually. It's just not a priority at this moment. Oh, I also picked. I think I picked up the IV exoskeletons last week actually, so that's not particularly notable. But here we go. We have the on-demand EBFs. Right now we just have one. Eventually we'll have two. This is where the old CPUs were, and I was wondering what to put in here, and it's EBFs. I might do like because I do want to use as much of the space as possible. I might do these EBFs in pairs. So these two will share all the buses and stuff, and I'll feed it two recipes at a time, and it'll do two at a time, and it'll be fun and good. And I don't know. So hopefully I'll get around to that eventually, I think. So it definitely is kind of slow. Um, Especially right now with things we make in it are ultimate and uranium triplatinum. Those things are both used in various things that we want, but we don't use them in such numbers where I really feel like we can justify putting a passive EBF for each one of those things because they're each used like uranium triplatinum is used in straight up like one recipe, and that's in the EV field generator, and it's not really used in anything else. I also went ahead and added a multi-block extraction machine now because this was one of the bottlenecks when it came to making coils. We were just running like I think it was just an HV extractor, and it was taking forever to do anything. Um, so I went ahead and swapped it out. We have a multi-block one now, and it's much faster, and it's great. I also went ahead and set up the lathe. That was actually the day after the log, so it didn't take that much. That didn't take that long. Legitimately, like the right after, pretty much. And this has been pretty nice. I really enjoy that. I will also set up a new area over here for extended crafting and the assembly line. We're gonna have two assembly lines here eventually. I probably won't put a third on demand. Um, this one is 16 blocks long, so it's large enough to do any recipe in the game. It's possible to do the largest. It's capable of doing the largest possible assembly line recipe, which is very good. I'm glad I don't have to build more of them. I don't have a room to set them up on passive yet, as in we don't really need them on passive, and they're kind of expensive for us at this stage. They do require a bunch of LUV circuits. While we do have on passive, we're still doing like the expensive supercomputer versions of them. So I kind of want to keep that to a minimum. They're also very power hungry, and I don't really want to like they're all LUV. They're all going to be like LUV minimum. If I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, I am going to go ahead and keep these on demand for now in ATM9, the only other GregTech experience I have. I did actually keep them on demand for quite a while, up until, um, I don't remember when. I think it was around the time when I needed to set up, um, like passive mainframes, like UHV mainframe, like wetware mainframes, or no, it was when I needed to set up passive like wetware boards or something, because those need passive motors or something like that. Um, I don't remember. It was around that tier, so I probably won't set up passive ones until like post ZPM, which is around tank. Well, tank is actually UV. You can make tank on UV voltage, and so once we get to UV, uh, you know, we'll set up more passive assemblers. And eventually at that point, power won't be a problem or whatever. We can just feed in a bunch of like Naquita generators and stuff. I know there's the big ones, but we won't use the big ones because once we have tank, we can just spam the ever-loving hell out of the regular Naquita reactors, which just take Naquita bolts. Like Naquita reactors does not overclock. See, 3 amps of ZPM, which is pretty good. Eventually, this converts just regular Naquita stuff straight into the lead bolts or whatever. Obviously, we can use enriched Naquita for that. That gives you let's see, 300. Oh, just regular. Oh, Naquadria is the best. Okay, so we'll just feed it Naquadria bolts pretty much. I know you can make the big one, but the big one is more expensive and just can't be like straight up done with like Naquita fuel pellets. Like, we can't make any of this stuff on, none of this stuff is made like with liquids, I think. Um, so we can take a look here. Can you extract this? No. Can you extract this? No. Can you extract this? Nope. Can you extract this? Nope. So you can't do any of this tank stuff, which is I assume why they did it. Why they made sure none of this stuff was in liquid form. So you straight up couldn't just use infinite amount. You couldn't just get infinite amounts of liquids from Creative Tank and then just fluid solidify it all. So anyway, that's a problem for much later. I imagine at least a month and a half at this stage, maybe two. We'll have to see. Over here we do have on-demand extended crafting. It's still in the process of being set up, so it's a little bit scuffed right now, and it might need to be reworked. I've never done this before, and it was a little bit confusing at first, even though it turns out to really just be that simple. Um, this over here is, I think, like the best form of it. So you have you have like some ultimate craft package crafter here, and you surround it by unpackagers. Unpackagers will have a recipe in them. I don't think any of these things are set yet, because I'm not really doing anything in the ultimate one. So over here, for example, we have crystal tin ingots in the unpacker, and we have crystal tin ingots in the packager. And once they're both in there, you can just go ahead and order it. Like I can just show you. We can just make like 12 crystal tin ingots, and it'll just run them through there and craft them. Done. So it really is that easy. They do take power from Applied Energistics. I thought they didn't, because I was like, oh, these things aren't getting power, and I'm pretty sure they're connected. So I fed them like an endstone line or an end steel line, and then it turned out I just didn't connect them. So you don't actually need to feed them Tech power, though you can. So eventually I'm gonna go ahead and tear all these things out. But it's not particularly important at this stage. And like I said, I've had other more important things to do than to rebuild a system that already kind of does what I need it to do at the moment. It does look a little bit scuffed, but it's fine. It'll be good enough for now. This area is definitely large enough for any of the recipes that we'll need to do. These tables are quite expensive, and spamming them in this number was not great, like one for each recipe. So instead I'm doing, two package crafters. Each one can only handle one recipe at a time. So this way we can do two recipes per table, and then we can put the packagers in a separate area, and that should be fine. So I'll get around to that eventually, probably if I need to revamp this area or need to add even more recipes. But for now, the only thing we're really doing extended crafting for is like the various miners. Like for example, we can make the various micro miners now. I haven't set them to automatically run missions. There's an exception to that rule, is I can go ahead and order Sheldonite. This does a crafting recipe for Sheldonite because it automatically completes the craft. I know you can do fancy tricks with like a piece of paper and stuff, but I haven't really felt like doing that. Obviously, we do have stabilized plutonium now. Person went ahead and set that up a couple days ago, I think, at this stage. The reactor we have that we built, we didn't think it would make that much power, but it makes like a million EO tick when it works. We haven't had any problems with it so far, but it does burn like a fuel pellet in like 3 seconds or something. So it's ridiculously power hungry. But when it's on, it does produce just an absolute boatload of power. It's not really that sustainable, unfortunately. It's not like ATM-9 where we can just throw more uranium seeds down in a mystical agriculture area and just have infinite uranium that way. We do actually have to use, micro miners or go mining it ourselves and process it and stuff. But when it is running, it does give us a lot of power. We're pretty good on plutonium at this stage too. We have a bunch of buckets of it, and you can use either one to make the stabilized plutonium. Though we use the regular liquid plutonium. I believe the plutonium 241 is special in some way. I think you need it. I think it only does like americium. Yeah, americium can only use plutonium 241. So I kind of want to keep that around. Fusion that tier of fusion is pretty far off, but I think it's a good idea to think about that ahead of time. Oh man, I love these towers. I'm so glad I got around to building them finally, and it looks pretty good. I really enjoyed the skyline changes and stuff. Really giving you a. I really like the skyline, the skyscraper style of things. I guess we'll go ahead and talk about the new EBS. I added a bunch more EBFs, and we're actually running out of space over here. We only have room for one more EBF in this area before I have to, build a new one or start stacking them. However, there's a bunch of ingots actually that you can do in the alloy blast smelter instead. Like manganese phosphide we can do in the alloy blast smelter. You can do all the the high-speed steel, so HSSE, HSSS, and HSSG can all be done in the ABS. I know that, let's see, what else can be done here? I'm pretty sure molybdenum disulfide can be done. There's a bunch you can do in like RTM, I'm pretty sure you can do. Oh, you can do lumium and signalum can also be done in the ABS. The benefits of that is it's a little bit less power hungry, as in you don't have to, because you don't have to put in a mixer in between the EBF and you don't need a mixer because then the ABFs require the dust itself before they can smelt it. Where the ABSs, for example, just take the raw dusts and kind of do the mixer and the EBF in a single step. There's like a there's an exception to that. Well, not necessarily an exception, but they do need an extra machine anyway, and that's the vacuum freezer. But that vacuum freezer doesn't really need to be that fast. We're just running these at EV. I think this one over here is running at IV. Eventually, this one's also running at EV too. So you don't really have to worry about feeding them a ton of power, especially since some of the mixers are IV or higher. Especially towards late game, I've been told they can be as high as LUV mixers and stuff too. I haven't really checked all of the recipes since there's just so many, but so, eventually this will also do a bunch at once, and we'll just take some strain off our EBF area. We do have, tons and tons of room for more. We have room for a total of 20 here, ABSs in total. So we can go ahead and pull a couple of those off. We can also do like yttrium barium cuprate. I kind of want to make sure I leave some room though, because I'm sure there's gonna be a couple of things that are gonna be ABS specific. I'm pretty sure like borosilicate glass, for example, is like this is, yeah, let's see, like borosilicate glass bar, or, how do you make this stuff? Oh yeah, there you go, liquid stuff, and this is the only way to do it, other than scrap remelting, so, unless you can, oh, no, you can just smelt the ingots and then extract them, can you? Yeah, okay, might not even have to do that in the ABS either, you can do that another way. Anyway, so, I guess we'll go ahead and move on. I guess we can go ahead and show the Montana and its many upgrades. It's gotten larger. I haven't really been working over here very much. Like I said, this hasn't been my thing. This has been Person's thing. Though it's been revamped multiple times. Originally, there was some, uranium processing over here, so it would already go into the uranium hexafluoride because she set this up before before we had good ore processing. Here's a sign. Safety third. Lumium wire next to it. Yeah, I feel that. So we got some stuff over here. We do have a couple of reactors. I can go ahead and show those too. Still have the nuclear silo. There's lots of room over here. She's been building deep into the mountain. Got these nice big heavy doors. And here's one reactor, and we can go ahead and turn it on for a little bit, and you can see, oh, this one's a little bit more efficient. And you can see how much power it's producing, and it's producing a lot. And we're going to go ahead and turn it off real quick. It's producing about 4.8 million, I think, at its peak. But it does burn through fuel like nothing else. So, and also we don't really pull power out of this thing fast enough, mainly because the generators are pulled from first. I don't really know how you set priorities in terms of extraction. I know how you set priorities in terms of insertion, but not in terms of extraction. So I don't know how to pull from the reactors first. That being said, though, like it is, nuclear craft neoteric, and I've heard the reactors can just turn off for some reason, just because they kind of hate you, and that'll be about it. If we come over here to ore processing, actually, there's been some upgrades over here. I've added some more stuff. I've also neatened up the drive area. I kind of hated how it looked. It was like I kind of set it up that way because I just didn't need to look good because I was busy working on the functionality. But now that the functionality is pretty much done at this stage, in terms of the nets and stuff, I don't really have to do anything more than that other than add more cables or add more drives. So and I felt like it was time to go ahead and neaten it up a little bit. I kind of like I set it back one by accident. Well, not really by accident, just because whenever I'm sketching, more or less sketching systems out, I generally set them back one. I center them subconsciously, but it actually worked out here pretty well because now I can have hanging signs, and they look good. I like them. I also, one thing I did change was originally I was planning to use the electromagnetic separators, because I saw that the electromagnetic separators, actually, it'd be better, enriched Nakwita dust, can be made this way. You get two chances at, 10% and 5%, but then I realized that it was at any voltage tier, it was better to do it this way through like the normal grinding up the refined stuff. It was better by a few percent, so it was worth doing this way instead. And I didn't really see any recipes that were worth doing with the electromagnetic separator in terms of ore processing. Most of the time, it was like iron or gold that it would pull out of it, which is both things we don't really need. Like, okay, neodymium and dust, but we're processing bastnite for rare earth, for example, so we don't really care about that. More iron, more gold, some more neodymium dust, but we didn't really need look, there you go, another 33% chance right there. So eventually this would be better at like super super high tiers, but it grows so slowly that it's just really not worth it. And so I just kind of stopped using it. Um, so I went ahead and pulled that area out, which is also a good thing that we didn't need it because we kind of ran out of drive space over here. I wouldn't have really had any. I could have extended this out one and plunked it over here, but it would have been a little bit scuffed because I want this at the end. Um, so it's fine that we didn't need it. It's actually pretty much of a good thing. I went ahead and added a bunch more. I finished out this line of distilled water chemical baths. So we have all these things to distilled water. Added two more macerators. I also have down here, I added a bunch of centrifuges, mostly regular centrifuges. We were processing, I also went ahead and we can make the master parallel control hatches. We have ZPM circuits because we have quantum, so we can make the mainframes. And obviously we have assembly lines, I should say, so we can go ahead and make those. I had so many here because we were centrifuging a ton of stone dust, and stone dust takes fucking forever, as well as the metal mixture stuff too. Because I thought it would be worth like the small trickle of resources you get from it, and the answer is no, not really. Not for the amount of power and time it takes. It was we had like last night when I got off at 2 in the morning. Like I said, I was really trying to push for that capacitor bank. Um, we had about like 80,000 or probably about 65,000 stone dust in here. And that would have converted in the end to about 46,000 or so, assuming like 25, a quarter of a stone dust converts into metal mixture, into, metal mixture dust, and that would have taken like a bunch of hours too. But apparently not. Not with, 7 centrifuges all with master parallel hatches, because this is done. We also, on top of that, had like 230,000 crushed redstone ore, or purified redstone dust. The thing that goes into the centrifuge that we do. I kind of zoned out while I was, just chilling, playing some music, and I ate 2 entire redstone veins, a cobaltite vein, a magnetite vein, and a lapis vein as well. And then bought like 1,000 ruby ore, 1,100 ruby ore on top of that. So I kind of did like really stuff the ore processing system, but it really held up. It's really really good. Obviously it's not quite as good as ATM9 in terms of sheer output. ATM9 even from like the very beginning was ridiculously oversized. Um, that was mostly because I had mechanism and at my fingertips, and I could just build massive reactors, and that was more than enough. But we don't have that option here, so we have to be a little bit more conservative with our power and our machines too, because mechanism gives you some really good. Well, I guess a lot of that stuff didn't really go into Greg, but the things that did, we had infinite amounts of effectively. Um, I didn't have mechanism to throw at the problem, for instance. And so this is where the electromagnetic separators were, and they're gone now. We have an autoclave here as well. This LCR converts dense ores into their regular forms. I wanted the autoclave. I need to use the autoclave here because, again, I needed the stocking buses to pull from that network. And this just turns like nether quartz dust, Certus quartz dust, a few other things I think as well. Oh, monazite, for example, as well gets autoclaved. Um, there's not that many things that we want that like dusts that we want to convert that can get autoclaved. Yeah, monazite, nether quartz, certus, lapis. Those are the only things that really go in there right now. And because there's only 4 of them and they get consumed all the way through, they just have. Oh, I guess I did give them a full drive. Uh, oh, this is the dense source. That's the one I gave just an ME chest because again, those always get consumed. There's just not that many. I might give this a larger storage disk for now, but we don't really get that many dense ores from the things we'd have to run a lot in order for that to actually get over full. Um, but yeah, I'm really happy I got around to setting up this ore processing system. It's really, really good. It's very clean in terms of how it outputs stuff. We don't have a bunch of like really, really high throughput laser nodes, and I'm pretty sure each like with like node overclockers and like with both node and maximum logistics node stuff, they can get pretty tick consuming, relative to other things. So I'm glad I went ahead and switched that over and using like the push storage network. I also went ahead and upgraded air distillation. We're starting to use a lot more of like this gas, especially like argon for a lot of the recipes. We're getting to the point where you use argon gas for a lot of the EBS recipes, and the argon gas only comes from air distillation. There is no alternative recipe, so we have to do it this way. So I moved to the multi-block. We do 16 parallel hatches. That we only ever really do 2, because I have to go overclock the liquid air vacuum freezer. That's still at EV, so it's pretty slow. I don't think we have access to the bulk blast chiller yet. I haven't really checked. I know in ATM9 we never really got to that stage. Let's see. Uh, yeah, LUV field emitters, dense Naquita plates, uranium, rhodium, dinoxide wire. Because by the time we had this wire, we were kind of almost already done with the pack, so it was never really worth doing at the time. Though at this stage, because we have a significant amount of progression beyond the ZPM, that this may actually be worth it at some point. Though this was a very strange multi-block, so I don't know where that's gonna go. All right, so what else? What else? I'm trying to think of all the things that I've done. It's been a lot of like little things here and there. I guess we can go ahead and take a look at the clean room. I don't know if there's anything. I don't think any massive work has been done in here. Obviously we do have the new Ivy stuff because we do have quantum. We have the better microprocessors and stuff too. We do have an IV on-demand circuit assembler. We need this for the ZPM circuits. We still do have a circuit assembler for EV stuff. This does the Lapatronic energy orbs from the data sticks. I can move this over. We do have HV, EV, and IV lines in here. I do want to start like consolidating some of them, but I mean I can also probably put like for example, a cutter on passive, but that would be a little bit annoying. I don't know how I would do that. Um, like a multi-block one. That means because if I can figure out a way to set up a multi-block one, I can pull it out of the clean room and use a cleaning hatch instead. I don't want to put it over here because this area has been reserved for the sterilizing clean room, which we will need eventually for like wetware stuff. So I don't know how I'm really gonna go ahead and consolidate these things to a higher tier. I don't really want to push them all to Ivy because while we do have a lot of Ivy power right now, we don't really need to run all these machines at Ivy. This would be a couple of amps of LUV, which would be a couple of extreme combustion engines, assuming they all will be working at the same time, which isn't really a thing. Like most passive systems don't really work all at the same time. I'm pretty sure if our entire factory was running, we'd run out of power in about 2 seconds flat. Um, so it's good that things don't run. The power of passive systems. In terms of the micro miners over here, I have added an advanced one because we do have Naquit. We actually do it. I can show you guys. I don't know if I mentioned that. We do have Naquita dust now because we have stabilized plutonium. Actually, you would know that because I ordered Sheldonite. You guys saw that. So we can make that stuff now. In terms of I haven't put that on passive or on demand because as you guys saw that we actually needed the prescient crystals, and these look like to be an absolute pain in the ass to set up on passive or do on demand because they're a little bit recursive because they take, I can show you, they take a soul vial and they put out an empty soul vial. Um, So this is like kind of a little recursive craft, and Applied Energistics hates the recursive crafts. It's just the way it is. It's always hated recursive crafts. So this is something I'm gonna want to put on passive, just so I don't have to, clutch together an on-demand pattern for this to work. So eventually I can set this up. I kind of wanted to set up the multi-block, but the multi-block is fairly far away, at least a full tier away, maybe two, because we do need the research station for this, rather than just the straight up the scanner, which we have right now. We do need Naquata alloy as well, which means that we may need to do Platline, though using the tier 5 miner means we also get a little bit of trinium. We also get a little bit of trinium sulfide, but this requires, Naquata coils, which we can set up because obviously we do have Naquata, so we can go ahead and start processing this stuff too. So we do have a little bit of trinium, we do have some Naquata, so we can probably push for at least a little bit of Naquata alloy. But there's just a bunch in terms of we still have to set up like the research station, and I didn't set that up until I had a dedicated area for passive assembly lines, which is kind of why I moved assembly lines away to somewhere else. Um, so this will be a little bit annoying. Oh, ZPM electric motors. We have this is post fusion, so we probably can't do this just yet. But yeah, so I got this set up. Eventually, I'll figure out the better recipes and stuff, and figure out a smarter way of doing that on-demand stuff. Though it is kind of fine as it is because the ore processing system just automatically gobbles up all the ore. So I might have to wait, or I can order a couple at a time, but it's fine. In terms of over here, I haven't really added anything in this room here since it's already pretty much filled out. Um, I have added another machine or two down over here. I think I had to add liquid redstone for something at one point, and that's pretty much it. So I think that's probably the bulk of things that have been done. Oh, I did have to actually add a hydrochloric acid at some point, because we started making a bunch of boards. I also had to add sulfuric acid as well. The plat we were It's been a really long time coming setting up better sulfuric acid, because up until about a couple days ago we were more or less crutching on the sulfuric acid byproduct from Flatline, and indium just chews through sulfuric acid like nobody's business. And we had been getting a lot of ores, both sphalerite and galena, so we have a ton of indium now, and it's straight up 4 buckets of sulfuric acid per indium dust. So we were eating just an absolute monstrous amount of sulfuric acid, and we'd eaten through all the byproduct. And up until I set up that LCR, our only other like actual production of let's see, where we go over here, of sulfuric acid was over here in 2 HV chemical reactors, which was hydrogen sulfide and then oxygen, and this was pretty slow over here. Definitely not enough to supply everything else. Right here, sulfur it's 16 seconds. We're running it at HV, so it's still 4 seconds per bucket, but 4 seconds per bucket is nothing. Um, so yeah, that's I think that's probably about it. Um, I wonder if there's anything else that I really want to talk about at this time, and I don't think there really is. I guess I can go ahead and talk about the petrochem changes, especially the air distillation. I don't know, I didn't mention it. This is a subnet now. Instead of using super tanks, we're just using 256K drives, and we also keep less of the crushed ice because honestly, we don't use this for anything. I just straight up don't care. So we're just voiding that effect here. We also have. I also picked the 256K drives, so we can store just a ton of gas. Each one will store about 2 million buckets, which is less than like the really high tier quantum tanks. Um, like Yeah, you have to get the quantum 7. Let's see, it's about 2 million buckets. So once you get to no, that's 64,000 buckets, 128,000. Um, So this is about 2 million buckets. So it's like tier 10. It's a little bit less than like a tier 10, or maybe it's around the same amount of a tier 10 quantum tank. It's a tank 11 would be better than that, but that's extremely, extremely high tier, and we can always just upgrade the drives and use like bulk ones instead. And that'll be effectively infinite. That'll be like 8 million. And this is good enough. We don't need that many. Like I set up 256 because 256 is effectively free for us at this stage, especially since we do them through the cheap recipe in the assembler, the assembler instead of crafting them. We also make the storage components through the HV. I can actually probably go ahead and upgrade this to using IV circuits even. I think right now we just use HV ones, but we can go up to EV for sure if I don't have those set up because we have the cheapest EV circuits at this stage. I might wait to switch to IV before we get until we get the crystal stuff, which will be the next big progression milestone. I kind of really don't want to do that. It's post fusion anyway, so we have to set up fusion, but I don't really feel like doing crystal processors. That was kind of really annoying. um, but I'll have to do it eventually, you know. Just it has to be done. You know what I mean? I think that is actually about it. I think for this stage so far. Um, there's still some more. There's still a ton of work that needs to be done all over the base. Like this bridge over here, it needs to become a bridge, for instance. It's just I just wanted like a physical connection that it didn't require a staff of traveling over there. And that's pretty much what it is. I don't even need to run a cable over here either. I just set up a quantum ring in here. Because I set this up, I wanted to move the processor before I had built the bridge, so I just kind of slapped a quantum ring in here. In terms of power, it's effectively nothing for us, so it's not too bad to just go ahead and spam these things. As long as we keep it a little, a little bit sensical and not putting them all over the place. Well, this is 1,000 EU, and let's see if it'll give us an. Nope. It's 1,000 EU effectively for all of it, and the quantum rings just really aren't that expensive. It's like 2K for all of those things. We have all four of our rings. Well, it'd be five actually. For all five of our rings, so it's kind of like whatever. So that's like what, like 200. I don't know. It's whatever. So it's kind of like I don't really care about that too much. Over here is just where I was batching the various prescient crystals. I need to go ahead and go back to doing that. I don't know what we're gonna do with this area because we kind of stopped. We don't need this area anymore at this stage in the game, especially since our on-demand is very um, robust at this stage. So I don't really know what we're gonna do over here. I might just leave it here as like a relic of the old days, um, because they're all envy machines still. And that just goes to show you how long it's been since we've used any of these damn things. Especially since I have better ore processing, which automatically electrolyzes dusts. That was kind of the last thing we were using it for, as well as ultimate stuff too. When we were doing that by hand, I think we might actually have. No, we don't have any ingots over here. Um, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with this area. Because anything that we were making over here can be made in on demand, and it can be made like 10 times faster. So yeah, I might tear all this out and put something else here, or I might just leave it here. If you guys have any ideas, feel free. There's still just a bunch of drawers over here. Still legacy drawers from like when we moved from away from the terrible lawn base like 2 months ago at this point. um, All right, guys. I've been rambling for quite some time now at this stage, so I'll go ahead and I guess cut it here. I hope you guys have had a good week. Mine's been pretty good at this point. Um, I hope you guys will have a good upcoming week, and I will see you all again next week.